At the center of Scandinavian parenting is a truth we often overlook. How can you change mealtime from a fight into a time your child truly enjoys? If your child is a picky eater and every meal feels like a challenge, it's time to discover the 3 rules that Scandinavian parents follow quietly. Rules grounded in real brain science. Do you realize what message you're sending to your child's brain when you ask them for just one more bite? Refusing to eat isn't a disorder, it's a defense mechanism. That is why many common parenting tips can make the problem worse. Today, we will share real neurological evidence explaining why Scandinavian children excel at eating. In just 10 minutes, you will see exactly and how this pressure affects a child's brain, why meals at a Scandinavian dinner table happen without any arguments, and how to start using this approach tonight. If gentle parenting and healthy child growth are important to you, this episode clearly outlines that philosophy, beginning with a mistake nearly every parent makes before dinner time. For most parents, mealtime becomes an operation, forcing vegetables onto a plate a child has already decided to reject. But what if focusing on the plate itself is exactly what's killing your child's appetite? Neuroscience tells us this. Pressure activates the amygdala, the brain's fear and defense center. When a child's brain goes into defense mode, the appetite mechanism shuts down. So, the more you say eat, the more you're actually poisoning their relationship with food, physically, not just emotionally. Let's make this concrete. When your toddler looks at broccoli and makes a face, and you push, even slightly, a threat alarm fires in their brain. That's the fight or flight response. In that state, digestion slows down, saliva production drops, and taste sensitivity actually decreases. So, ironically, forcing a child to eat makes that exact food less appealing on a biological level. In Scandinavian culture, the approach we call feeding dynamics does the opposite. It takes control out of the parent's hands and hands it back to the child's own body. This doesn't mean a child eats whatever they want, whenever they want. It means they learn early to actually listen to their own hunger and fullness signals, and research backs this up. Children who develop this kind of body autonomy early are significantly less prone to disordered eating later and approach new foods with a curious explorer mindset instead of fear. So, what exactly do people in Scandinavian countries do differently? I would say it's their habit of eating together. In Scandinavia, eating is a ritual of social bonding. That's the essence of hygge. At the table, the child is not forced to eat, but an equal member of the family. Everyone sits at the same table at the same time, without phones or televisions. This simple detail conveys a powerful message. Eating is about togetherness. In Finnish parenting, and generally in other Scandinavian countries, this philosophy is even evident in school canteens, where teachers eat the same meal as the children. There is no separate staff menu or separate children's menu. When a child sees someone they trust calmly eating the same meal, their brain signals, this is safe. In social learning theory, this is called modeling, and it is more effective than parental pressure in getting children to accept new foods. I would also like to point out that this is not about forcing conversation. Some of the quietest Scandinavian dinner tables are actually quite silent. The aim is not to have showy conversations, but to be there, just to be there, and eat together without rushing. You can implement this simply by trying to make mealtime a gathering, not a chore. Talk and ask questions about how their day went, not what's on their plate. Let the food take a back seat. Let the connection be the focus. Even within the first week of trying this, you'll notice a significant decrease in tension at the table, and that alone can increase a child's desire to eat. Secondly, let's talk about autonomy. In Scandinavian households, parents take charge of what goes on the plate, but it's the child who decides how much to eat. Once the child has that control, the pressure fades away, and their natural appetite comes back to life. This concept aligns perfectly with the division of responsibility model created by dietitian Ellen Satter, which nutritionists around the globe Now embrace. Here's how it works. Parents determine when, where, and how meals are served, while kids get to choose how much they eat and whether they want to eat at all. Interestingly, this clear division fosters trust. It removes the guesswork for everyone involved. Parents don't have to negotiate every bite, and kids don't feel the need to fight for control. They already have. Next up is the same meal rule. If parents whip up a different menu every night, think cake, nuggets, or plain toast, just to please picky eaters, it actually reinforces those picky habits. Kids quickly learn that there's always a tasty alternative waiting for them, so they'll skip what they don't like. In Scandinavian homes, there's a simple rule. Whatever the family cooks is what everyone eats. A child might end up eating very little or nothing at all during dinner, and that's completely okay. There's no need to stress about it. This pattern continues calmly at the next meal without any drama, and the child who skipped dinner will eventually learn to eat when they're hungry. The secret ingredient here is patience. Research indicates that a child might need to see a new food presented to them anywhere from 8 to 15 times before they're willing to try it. This isn't a mistake or a sign of something being off. It's just how young brains learn to embrace new flavors. Scandinavian parents view this not as a setback, but as a normal part of the journey. Their calm, unhurried approach helps the child's nervous system relax enough to give something new a shot. At the end of the day, a peaceful meal isn't built on perfectly cooked food, but on the calm connection created by the parent. When you reduce pressure, share control, and transform the dinner table from a control point into a meeting point, your child's natural curiosity kicks in. And over time, that curiosity will turn even the most stubborn and picky eater into a little food explorer. Let's briefly summarize the topics we've covered today, because these three things work best together, not alone. First, pressure activates the brain's defense system, and a defensive brain leaves no room for appetite. Therefore, the goal is not to increase pressure, but to eliminate fear. Second, a shared meal, without screens or separate menus, teaches a child that food is safe by watching someone they trust eat calmly. Third, control over how much belongs to the child, not the parent. Your role is limited to observing what's on the table. None of this requires a complete change in lifestyle. You don't need Scandinavian cuisine or a specific set of ingredients. What you need is a change in mindset, reducing control over bites, creating more consistency at the dinner table. Now, if you're thinking, this sounds great, but what if my child doesn't eat for days? That's a perfectly justified concern, and often the first fear that comes to mind. In practice, healthy children very rarely go without food for extended periods. What actually happens is smaller, quieter, a meal of almost 3 bites, then a little more curiosity the next day, a little less resistance. It rarely happens in a straight line, and it doesn't have to. That's why I'm telling you the one thing you should try right away, tonight. Serve everyone at the table the same food. Sit together without your phone, and don't comment on the plate even once. That's it. Not a new recipe, not a new rule, just less pressure and more presence. If you're struggling to apply this calm approach to discipline, in my video, Raising Calm Children the Scandinavian Way, I detail the no punishment techniques that make it so much easier. And when it comes to building confidence, make your praise effort-based. That's exactly the approach I cover in my video, The Scandinavian Parenting Habit That Raises Highly Confident Children. Try these 3 principles, shared meals, autonomy, and the same meal rule, at dinner tonight. It might not be a miracle on the first night, but be consistent for 2 weeks, and you'll see curiosity replace tension at your table. So tell me, what's the biggest dinner fight in your house right now? Write it in the comments. Let's figure it out together from a Scandinavian perspective. Like this video, subscribe for more evidence-based parenting content, and see you in the next video.